What if the part of you you never talk about, the part you avoid naming, is making most of your decisions? What if your fears, patterns, and self-sabotage are not random? What if something inside has been steering your life? And what if meeting it doesn't feel like healing, but like losing who you thought you were? Most people believe they know themselves. They list strengths, describe personality, explain choices. But self-knowledge is often just a story we repeat, a polished, socially acceptable narrative on the surface. Beneath that story, there is movement, impulse, tension, resistance. You wake up some mornings already tired, anxious, irritated, without anything having happened yet. You want change, yet delay. You want intimacy, yet pull away. You want freedom, yet cling to limits. This contradiction is not laziness or weakness. It is something operating below awareness. There is a part of you that speaks not in language, but in urges, discomfort, avoidance, repetition. Because it doesn't announce itself, you mistake it for coincidence. Jung said what's unconscious organizes our lives silently. This hidden organizer is not evil or an enemy. It is simply unseen. From childhood, you learned what was acceptable, what earned love and safety. Certain traits were rewarded. Others were corrected, ignored, shamed. Over time, you adapted not consciously, but instinctively. The parts of you that fit stayed visible. The parts that threatened belonging went underground. Anger became tension. Desire became guilt. Confidence became arrogance. Sensitivity became weakness. Nothing was destroyed. It was relocated. And the psyche never forgets what it buries. The unconscious is not passive. It is creative, compensatory, persistent. What you refuse to acknowledge, it expresses in another form. A person who represses anger attracts conflict. A person who denies desire obsesses. A person who rejects power feels powerless everywhere. This is not punishment. It is balance. The psyche always seeks wholeness, but wholeness is inconvenient. It disrupts identities. It dissolves roles. It threatens comfort. So instead, most people negotiate. They stay functional but fragmented, successful but hollow, busy but disconnected. They call this adulthood. The hidden part continues to operate, deciding what feels heavy, threatening, impossible. It influences attraction, career choices, reactions, dreams. You think you are choosing, but much of your life is reaction. Reaction to old conditioning. Reaction to buried emotion. Reaction to unintegrated parts. This is why insight alone rarely changes anything. You can understand yourself intellectually, yet repeat the same patterns. Because understanding speaks to the conscious mind, while patterns are maintained elsewhere. The hidden part does not respond to logic. It responds to recognition. Ignored parts grow louder. Seen parts soften. This is why avoidance strengthens fear, and attention weakens it. But attention is dangerous. When you truly observe what has been buried, the self-image begins to crack. You may discover impulses that contradict who you believe you are, desires that don't fit your identity, emotions you were taught to reject. This feels destabilizing. The ego interprets integration as loss, because the ego survives by definition, by clarity, by certainty. The unconscious thrives in contradiction. That is why meeting yourself deeply feels like confusion before clarity. Most people retreat here. They label the discomfort as anxiety, overthinking, regression. But it is actually expansion. The psyche stretching beyond a narrow identity. The hidden part does not want to destroy you. It wants participation. It wants expression without takeover. Integration is not indulgence. It is regulation. A person who knows their aggression controls it. A person who knows their desire channels it. A person who knows their darkness is not consumed by it. What remains unconscious acts without permission. What is seen can be guided. This is the paradox. Avoidance creates control from below. Awareness creates choice. As you begin to notice, patterns reveal themselves. Why certain people trigger you. Why certain situations exhaust you. Why silence feels uncomfortable. Why stillness feels unsafe. These reactions are not random. They are signals. Signals pointing towards something unfinished. The hidden part often appears first as resistance. Resistance to rest. Resistance to honesty. Resistance to change. Not because change is wrong, but because change threatens the internal balance you learn to survive with. Survival patterns do not disappear just because they are outdated. They must be thanked, then released. But most people shame their patterns. They fight them. They judge them. This deepens the split. Integration requires a different posture. Curiosity instead of condemnation. Observation instead of control. You begin by noticing without fixing. When a reaction arises, you pause. What is this protecting? What does this want? What memory does this belong to? Not intellectually, somatically. The body often knows before the mind. Tightness, heat, pressure, fatigue. These are messages. The unconscious speaks through sensation. When listened to, it calms. When ignored, it escalates. This is why breakdowns often precede breakthroughs. The psyche demands attention, and if not given willingly, it takes it forcefully. Burnout, panic, depression, sudden dissatisfaction. These are not failures. They are signals too large to ignore. The hidden part is saying, enough. Enough pretending. Enough compressing. Enough living half-lived. Meeting this part does not make life easier. It makes it more honest. Honesty destabilizes before it stabilizes. Relationships may change. Goals may dissolve. Values may shift. This is not loss. It is alignment. You stop moving against yourself. Energy once used to suppress becomes available. Clarity increases. Not certainty, but direction. You begin to act from integration instead of reaction. Decisions feel quieter, more grounded, less frantic. You no longer need constant validation because you are no longer split. The hidden part no longer needs to shout. Because it is included, this is not enlightenment. It is wholeness, and wholeness is not perfect. It is complete. The work never ends, but it becomes cooperative. You stop fighting yourself and start listening. And in that listening, you discover something unexpected. The part of you that once controlled everything was never trying to ruin your life. It was trying to finish it.